So here we are on one of our newest listings that we just staged last week.
We did.
Staging is so important. That's what we want to talk about today. We're about to have an open house, so we're trying to squeeze this video in just before the open house. So Amy, tell me, there are some really smart strategies of why you should stage.
Well, first of all, NAR, National Association of Realtors, has disclosed that a seller can get 6 to 20% more. Now, that's a huge variation, and it probably depends on the house itself. But the bottom line is you always make more money.
So tell me, why don't more agents stage? Because I saw that same report, and it said that there was only about 15 to 20% of any agents stage their home. And most of those agents that do stage homes only do it after the house has been on the market and kind of sitting stagnant.
So I think a couple reasons. It's more work, it's more effort. I think some don't understand the importance of it. And some don't have the ability themselves to do it. It means that they have to hire somebody else to do it, which there's nothing wrong with that. That just
an extra expense.
Yeah, it's either an extra expense for the agent themselves or for the seller. And oftentimes it's the seller who does pay for that.
Well, I'm thinking about those other houses, they get listed and they do sell right away. But if they're not staged, maybe they're not getting as many offers. And according to that report, they're probably not getting as much money.
That's probably true. Now, the importance of staging, a lot of times, and you know, there's so much out on the internet, a lot of buyers, they know, let's depersonalize,
and that's all very smart stuff to do.
You know, let's make sure the house is clean. But sometimes when we've toured homes with buyers, the seller has forgotten that, or they do not see the importance of that.
We could probably do a whole video on the amazing things we've seen in showing homes.
That's probably true. But I think the biggest thing, when you are staging a home, you want to appeal to the masses. So, you know, there are some people, you may have a 3-bedroom home or a 4-bedroom home. So right away, you know, if somebody's looking for a 4-bedroom home and you have a 3-bedroom house, they probably aren't going to be able to get your house. But, you know, in terms of being able to envision themselves in your home, that's what you want to do for a buyer. Right away, curb appeal. Think of the outside as another room. Okay, so
what's the first thing they see when they drive to the house?
Yeah, the curb, literally. But the front of the house, so make sure it's clean. And maybe it needs a fresh coat of paint. Don't forget the mailbox, the shrubs, all those types of things. The backyard, that's become kind of an oasis for a lot of people. Yeah. So some people,
especially since COVID.
Yeah, and some people
they want to have that little vacation at home.
And some people may just have a patio. And they think, well, it's just a patio. Stage that patio. Put a bright carpet out there.
Maximize it.
Indoor, outdoor carpet. Sometimes, you know, real plants are awesome. Sometimes they're not practical. There's some great artificial greenery out there. I have a black thumb. Just ask Dave.
So when we stage, we have all these knickknacks and stuff in bins. We got several bins of just greenery that she uses, and you wouldn't know that it wasn't alive.
Well, and here's the thing. How do buyers shop? They shop online first. Yep. Even if they're working with an agent, they are on Zillow, Realtor.com. The agent may have set them up on their own private search.
Yep.
So they are constantly looking at homes online. You want that home to pop online. So the things that we use when we're staging,
a lot of artwork.
Yes, a lot of artwork that we may not use personally in our homes, but it pops through a photograph.
There's a big difference between the way you live and the way you stage to sell.
And you know, Dave and I are prime examples of that. When we have sold our personal homes, we have taken away a lot of our personal things, our personal likes, and staged it. And maybe we've had to do neutral paint. And that's another thing. You kind of want to neutralize the house.
Now, this particular home, when we came into it, it was decorated beautifully. It really showed really well.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of colors on the different walls.
Yeah, the seller loved color, and it worked.
It did. It looked really good.
It worked perfectly, and it fit their personalities to a T, which is great when you're living in a home. But if you're going to sell it, and they were wonderful about listening to us. And so we have neutral paint on the walls everywhere. Fresh paint, they painted the trim, fresh white, everything is nice and clean. Overall, you've got a neutral canvas, but if you can see behind me, you know, we have a couch, pops of color. The carpet, which you can't really tell, has color in it as well. The canvases that we've used around the home pop our line. Yep. There's greenery in most of the rooms, and we've gotten such great feedback about the house too. How great it looks, how good it feels when they come in.
So, Amy, tell me about light and sometimes maybe blinds and drapery and just light bulbs.
So you want your home to be very bright. A lot of people love natural light. Not every home is blessed with a lot of natural light.
With huge windows like this behind us.
Yes. And, and some of them, even if they have huge windows, they may have a covered patio behind that huge window or something.
Or here in Peachtree City, lots of trees near the house.
And it obscures the light. So when somebody comes in, you want, first of all, you want the lights that you do have in the house, you want them on. It makes a huge difference when a buyer walks through your door. You want bright light bulbs. Make sure you're not missing light bulbs. That's an easy thing to do.
And it's nice when they're all the same color. You don't have yellow, white, yellow, white.
Yes. So pick, and in some you want more the cool bulb, some the more yellow tends to be a little warmer.
So like a kitchen, you want a little cooler, correct?
Yes.
And then more like a bedroom, you want a little bit warmer.
That's right. But it's going to depend on what you have on the walls.
And the different colors.
If you have blinds, make sure they're clean.
Or maybe just remove them.
Or yes, maybe remove them. Some people have heavy drapery up to the windows, which is great when you're living in it. Again, how you live and how you sell are a little different. So maybe you want to remove that, have something brighter, more lightweight up to the windows that is not obscuring the window and the natural light coming in.
So earlier you kind of mentioned, people will go in and clean the house. How important is having a really clean house?
Oh my goodness. So here's the thing. We always tell our sellers, think of your 5 senses when people are purchasing your home. So when somebody comes in, obviously your vision, what they're taking in, what they see. If they see a lot of dirt, or Dave and I walked in and stepped over dirty laundry in somebody's home when they were showing it. I mean, there's a lot of things you could hear. So make sure your woodwork's clean, make sure the floors are mopped, and then also just the smells. We, with our noses, a lot of times our sellers decide not to cook while they are, listing the home, because there's some smells that are kind of offensive to some people's noses. So you want to, again...
As much as you might love Italian food, and we do, maybe a bunch of garlic in the house when somebody walks in is not the best thing.
Now, I don't know why, but overall, most people like the smell of fresh baked cookies or brownies or bread. So if you're going to bake, go for that. Also, candles. Do something, a neutral scent if you're going to burn a candle before showings. The Glade air fresheners, make sure you're careful.
That can be overdone.
Yes, it can be overdone. There can be other fragrances sometimes that people are trying to overcome, so they use that. The combination is tough. If you have pets, and we do, so we know what that's like.
We have a 100-pound golden doodle.
And we had a Shih Tzu till he passed away, so we had 2.
When we sold our last house, we had 2 animals.
Yes. And so we're sensitive to that. Even ask a friend, to come in, does my house smell like animals? And tell them to be honest. Ask somebody that you know is going to be honest. There's cleaning, maybe you have your furniture cleaned. Maybe the person buying your home loves pets and is willing to overlook that. Maybe they're not. So again, you're trying to appeal to a broad spectrum of buyers.
So just a few years ago, we had some clients that were selling their parents' house, and it was an emotional thing, and they didn't want to deal with any of the stuff we were just talking about. But what's the one, if you don't want to deal with it and you just want to sell it and get rid of it, what's the one thing you definitely have to do?
Clean.
And if you just have to write a check and pay somebody else to do it because you don't want to do it because, emotional reasons or time reasons or whatever, but have it clean.
Yes, and most realtors, like we have cleaners that we love and respect and are insured and bonded. And if you're working with a realtor, they probably have some suggestions as well. So if you don't want to spend the time, and that's the thing, when you're getting ready to list your home, there's a lot of to-dos to do. And so if you can take something off your plate, and maybe it's cleaning, it may be
outsource.
Yes.
If you can outsource something.
Yes, and painting. It may be worth, a lot of times we've had some sellers that they think it's going to cost a lot more to have their home painted than it does.
Well, and then carpet. We had a sale just a couple months ago, and the carpet needed. It was done. It was past time. And what they thought the house was going to cost to have it carpeted, and what it truly cost was a big difference.
Yeah, and so it's worth sometimes just to get the quote.
At least finding out.
Yes. You may choose, and we've had sellers that have gotten information and they've decided not to do it. The way Dave and I always look at it, we're going to give you a list of things that we recommend. We usually have a list of recommendations. This is what we recommend do to your house. You pick the ones that you want to do, and we'll work with that. Yeah, and if they don't want to do anything, they don't do it. And some do everything. What
we find though is the ones that do everything, they sell extremely fast and they sell for top dollar. So Amy, a lot of time when you stage, you're just trying to make it look pretty and appealing, but sometimes you do it for a different reason.
So staging a room is partially about defining the space. So there are some areas in our homes that we might use as a dining room.
But it could be an office.
Right. And today, and especially after the pandemic, there's so many people working from home. So if you're blessed to have a home that is large enough that it has a dedicated office space and a dedicated dining room, etc., then that's awesome. But others are not. And so we have found that in some of especially in the smaller homes, an office space is more important than an extra dining room, formal dining room space. So a lot of times now we're using that to create an office space. We also had a house years ago that they didn't have the space defined at all. Remember the basement?
Oh, that one basement. And we basically delivered a whole nother room in the presentation.
So in the basement, they had it finished area, but it just had a lot of boxes.
It looked like a storage room. It was completely finished, but it looked like a storage room.
And they were using it as a storage room. And
which is easy. I mean, it's fine.
It was about 400 square feet. So, but if a buyer walked in there, even though that counted as finished space, they could not imagine that finished. So the seller worked with us, got the boxes out of there, and we made it a fun
little bonus room.
Family
room. We brought in one of our fake TVs.
Yes, that's a fake TV there. We have one with a football theme too. And we had a popcorn machine and sofas and just.
And you walk in, it was just cheery and fun. It's like, this is a place I want to be instead of a storage room.
Yes. So in color pop, we talked about making your space neutral, neutral walls, even neutral furniture sometimes, but then bring in pillows and blankets are our best friend. We have a lot of them, and you can really define a space and give color pop just by adding some colorful pillows that are also going to pop in the photographs.
Well, and then you do that with paintings too, with pictures. And there, some of the color pop pictures that we use on a regular basis because it shows so great online, we would never put in our home.
No, that's true.
To live with.
Yes, and it's not that it's just, not typically what we would use. It's not our style necessarily. But again, it's not necessarily about your style. It's what's going to pop in the photographs and what's going to catch a buyer's attention and what's going to appeal more to the masses.
Now, sometimes you also use color pop to draw an eye to an area, and sometimes you use it to draw an eye away from someplace else too.
That's a good point. So, every home has its positive and negative features. So when we're staging, you want to highlight the very best features. So if you have a great fireplace wall or just a wall with great architectural features, or maybe it's the ceiling that has wooden beams and just, so you want to draw the eye up, let those people see the beams. The other thing, make sure you're not detracting from the great spaces in your house. Sometimes personal photographs, I don't have a personal issue with photographs being out.
What we found with buyers is they'll come in and they want to look at your personal photographs, and they say, "Oh, we went to that vacation. We were at that hotel. Oh, they got 2 little kids." But you don't want them doing that. You want them looking at your house.
Yes.
You want them to buy your house. They're not buying your vacation you had.
Yes, if you have crown molding or if you have other great features, that's what they need to be zeroing in. So that's really the reason we suggest, and when we sell our own homes, we take down our personal photographs as well for that reason.
So as you see, staging is very important. We offer it to all of our clients for no additional cost. If you have any interest in selling in the South Metro Atlanta area, we're your team.
Give us a call for a free consultation. We'd love to come out, meet with you, talk with you, and we can explain a little bit more in person about what we do with staging.
Well, we can do it specifically for your home.